Coach Harbaugh? Because I'm
Oh
really
man,
interested.
Harbs.
Yeah, here we go.
Harbs. One word for Harbs. I would say innovative.
Right.
And the reason why is because he wants to look at studies. He wants to look at things he can do within the rules of the game to give you an advantage. So one thing we did is when we flew to Denver to play in that AFC divisional game, he wanted us there less than 24 hours. He wanted to get us there as late as possible, play the game, and then get us out, because studies had shown that if the more time you spent at high altitude in Denver, Mile High Stadium and all that, that your oxygen levels go down. So if you go there early, then you're giving yourself a disadvantage. If you go there late, then your oxygen levels aren't going to change within that 24-hour window. And so he would do all kinds of cool stuff like that. And he'd find, he implemented the whole buddy system, where you have kind of a mentor, older veteran player to mentor the younger players. But the Ravens called me recently to do a study, and it was a self-analysis on what it means to be a Raven. And they only asked like 50 Ravens in all their history of the organization. I would say the organization is probably 25 years old now. I'm just guessing. But they only picked 50 players, and I was honored to be one of them. And what it means to be a Raven, I'm sure that self-analysis, that study, he was probably the brainchild of that. So he's always innovating and always thinking of the best ways to get the most out of the players, and also have the organization innovate so they can create great men as well as great football players.
Can you shed any light on what it did mean to be a Raven and what that study revealed to you?
Yeah, well, I think, you got to start at the top, and the owner of the Ravens now is Steve Bisciotti, and he always was when I was with the team. But if you look at him as a businessman, he started temp agencies, so temporary job agencies where you can call a temp agency, and then they have access to this database, and the database has all the employers that are looking for people to employ on a temp basis. So he created that. He invented that. He's also has an aerospace engineering company. So at the time when I was a Raven, it was the only team that was owned, meaning that they didn't take a loan out to buy the team. He bought the team with cash. So he bought it outright. Maybe there's 2 teams now that are outright bought and owned, but it's not a common practice in the NFL to own the team. So as a businessman, to be a Raven is, to handle your business, on the field, off the field, in life with your family, and in business, and in the way that you carry yourself proud as a Raven. But also it means tough, because the city of Baltimore is a tough city, and Steve Bisciotti's from Baltimore. So, the Raven teams are usually known because of the defense, right? So like a tough defensive team, even though I know Lamar right now, we're known for our offense, and even, with Joe Flacco at certain times, great offenses with Ray Rice and Joe and Anquan Bolden and so on and so forth. But so yeah, I mean, you got to be tough, you got to be strong. And then teams that have football players, like even if you look at Justin Tucker, our kicker, he's an athlete. Like he can go down, he can make some tackles. Not that you want him to, but the team was full of football players, like guys on that roster, they can play football. So, for me, I could play linebacker. You could put me back and put me in the secondary. I could rush off the edge, and then I could play special teams. Shoot, I'd go play running back if I could have. But they have guys that are football players, not just these specialists that play, and like even like a guy like Anquan Bolden and making that signing. I know it was a long time ago, but he was a great blocker. And he's a great receiver as well. So I think, that's what the Ravens are about. It's about whatever it is that you do, be great at what you do and represent yourself on and off the field in a great way. And you got to be tough. And that pretty much encapsulates the city of Baltimore.